Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode's Blue Table Talk. I'm Sherry Hubert, Associate Dean of Admissions at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. I'm so excited to have you join us this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. You may notice, for those of you who are joining us again, regulars for Blue Table Talk, that this is a different format because today in Durham, it is snowing, beautiful snow, but it is snowing. And so we have a snow day. Everyone's working remotely, going to school remotely. And so we did not want to disappoint and cancel this session. And so we decided to join in the virtual space and have our first virtual Blue Table Talk. So we shall all be learning together how this goes. I am so excited about this episode. We are celebrating Black History Month. I'm so excited about our guests who you will meet shortly. This topic, as those of you who are new to Blue Table Talk, this is really an opportunity for you to get to know our Fuqua culture, the students who really make Fuqua what it is, and their lived experience as well in the program, as well as what brought them to the program. And so, this particular topic is around cultivating the next generation of Black business leaders in honor of Black History Month. You will meet some really amazing individuals. And so without further ado, I'm going to ask each of them to briefly introduce themselves, and then we're going to get right into the conversation. I will start with Shireen. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Sherry. Sure. Thank you. I am Shireen Anderson, and I am a first-year Weekend Executive MBA student at Duke Fuqua. I currently work as a senior strategic advisor for Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina.
And Ariana, I'm just going to go across my screen.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Ariana White. I'm a part of the Master of Management Studies Foundations of Business program here at Fuqua. I attended Harvard University and I graduated this past May, and I majored in economics.
Wonderful. Michaela?
Hey everyone, my name is Michaela Nelson. I am a second year daytime MBA student here at Fuqua. I'm from the Atlanta area, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
And rounding us out is Odera.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Sherry. My name is Odera Ugu. I'm a first-year MBA student here at Fuqua. Grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and prior to my time at Fuqua, I worked in finance in New York City.
Okay, wonderful. So, given this topic around cultivating the next generation of Black business leaders, I thought maybe we would kick off the conversation with, I'm curious, anyone can answer this question. How are the next generation of Black business leaders and entrepreneurs such as yourselves redefining leadership and innovation? How are you thinking about that?
Yeah,
Don't all answer don't all answer at once.
yeah, I don't mind hopping in on this one. Yeah, so I think now more than ever, it's very important for us to have strong, unapologetic Black leaders. I think we have a unique challenge given the current state of our country and the world, where we don't necessarily have the institutional support that we once may have had in, I guess, larger scale organizations. I think oftentimes even just speaking about race or our experiences can be seen as a taboo. But the world needs our perspectives more than ever, and we need to be in the rooms that influence decision makings that impact our communities at large. And I think something in particular that I think our generation is very focused on is the idea of just taking someone with you. I think Black leaders are often told that our personal success is not enough, and we must also uplift our community. And this is not always a fair expectation that's placed on us, but it is the reality of the state of the world that we're in. And I think now more than ever, our Black leaders are more focused on really building that foundation for the next group of leaders that will be following us.
Great. Anyone else want to share an add-on to
Yes,
Odera?
Sherry, I think to build on what Odera was saying as well, is what we're finding is that we're leaning into, I think today, more community-driven, tech-savvy approaches to redefining what business and politics and our culture look like. So we're using platforms, I think, through social media to advocate for racial equity, Black wealth creation, social justice, et cetera. So I think that's the positional stance of Black leadership moving forward into the future.
Are there any platforms that you guys take advantage of to do just as you had mentioned, Shireen? Either in your own personal, professional networks or
Yeah, well, I personally leverage LinkedIn a lot. I like LinkedIn as a platform, Instagram. Um, those are the two that I have an affinity for.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I also use LinkedIn. And just to touch on the leadership part, I think one thing that Fuqua does a great job at is just fostering like diverse perspectives and like having a bunch of collaboration in the classroom and outside the classroom. And I think that's really good because it can like uplift diverse perspectives, which is very important.
Yeah. Do you have an example of that, Ariana, that was really pivotal for you and your experience in your program?
Yeah, I think just every day in the classroom for the MMS program, we are assigned teams, like group of 5 to 6. And so we do all our assignments together. It's just a bunch of group work. And just even from that, just like doing the homework and listening to like how they approach a problem is just really interesting. So
Yeah, no, I mean, diversity is really embedded in this concept of Team Fuqua, right? So that's very true. So let's hear a little bit more about how you guys came to business school in this journey that you're on. And I'm going to ask each of you to tell us a little bit about your lived experience. What led you to pursue the degree that you're pursuing now? Or perhaps what led you to the passion that you have for the career choices that you either are making or had made in the past that then led you to business school? Odera, do you want to start and kick us off?
Yes, happy to. So I actually started my career as a pre-med student at Cornell University, and I found that that wasn't the specific way that I wanted to impact the world of my community. I found that the true cause of a lot of the issues that I was passionate about were more related to finance or more related to, I guess, larger scale operational inefficiencies. So that led me to pursue my career in finance at BlackRock. Here, I got exposed to many aspects of finance and business. And with time, I realized that I wanted to refocus and realign on a career that was more related to my passions and interests. So I thought that was a perfect opportunity to really pause and really just further examine myself and my career opportunities. Really wanted an opportunity to meet more people, get more perspectives on what that impact might look like, and really just think about what the next few years and the rest of my life could look like. So I thought pursuing an MBA was the perfect opportunity to do that.
Michaela, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I came to Fuqua, I spent about 5 years working in marketing in a number of different industries. When I finished undergrad, I had the opportunity to move to Minnesota and start my career at General Mills, which is a large player in the food and beverage space. And when I was there was really when I had that aha moment that I wanted to go back to school and get my MBA. And it's very full circle now, considering this is the work that I'm going to be doing post MBA. But when I was there, I was sitting on a brand team, and I was working alongside brand managers who had recently graduated with their MBAs from all of these amazing programs like Fuqua. And when I was sitting in business rooms with them, I just remember hearing them talk about business and just feeling like they had a level of understanding of things that I just could not access, even as someone who studied business in undergrad. And I just remember finding them very impressive. I ended up having a mentor in the program who also just like was able to take me under her wing and just show me more about what business school was like and the opportunities ahead for me. And that's really when I started to get thinking about it. And so I think it's really important to have those images of people around you who can show you what a path could be like, because that is really kind of what crystallized it for me. So after working for a few years for General Mills and moving around a little bit, I took on a role before I went to Fuqua where I was working in more of a creative marketing role. And I realized that it was very far removed from the business. And I missed having, just like more influence and understanding how my work was impacting business. And so that was really, I think, my second aha moment that I wanted to go back to school and that I wanted to do work that actually, influence business and outcomes. So that was kind of the pathway that brought me here and kind of made me realize that I wanted to go back to get my MBA.
And are you seeking to stay in the kind of marketing brand world, or are you really trying to pivot completely away?
Yeah, so at Fuqua, I've definitely taken advantage of opportunities of kind of exploring different career paths. And so I interned in the strategy space at Nike this past summer, and I was able to kind of see what more of the retail industry, but also the strategy function was like. But ultimately I decided I wanted to get back to my roots, and I realized, where I was passionate about. I'm very passionate about the food space and the opportunity that lies in food to really, give people what they need in terms of like food, but also to create healthier generations in the future. But I'm also just passionate about management, and I really love the opportunity to be in brand and be able to influence people in that way. And so I will be going back into brand management. I took a job with the Kraft Heinz company in Chicago, so I'll get to be that person who I used to look at and in the meetings and look up to, and hopefully someone else can look up to me in that way too.
Love that. I love that. That's right. Uh, Ariana, what about you? What brought you to the business school journey?
Yeah, so undergrad, I studied economics, and through that, I've had the opportunity to have numerous internships in the finance field with fixed income and also equities. And I guess just like my experiences through that have really led me to go to business school, especially here at Fuqua, just to learn more technical skills to further help me when I had my first job. When I was doing undergrad studying economics, I learned a bunch of theory economics, and so I thought coming here would really help me, I guess, prepare more when I start my first job in finance. So
And, are you a student athlete or you're not a student? Do you?
yes, I am.
What
And
the
so
sport do you?
volleyball, yeah. So that was another aspect of what led me here as well. I had another year to play volleyball, so yeah, I love the team here, and then also the opportunities that Fuqua had led me to pursue a master's.
Wonderful. And then Shireen, what about you? What led you to pursue your MBA and then also then determine that you'd like to do it as a working professional?
Well, Sherry, I'd first just like to address the fact that as what I believe, presumably to be the most tenured panelist, it just warms my heart to hear the stories of our daytime MBAs. Because as I look back over my career and when I started out on this journey, um, a lot of the opportunities that are available today were not available when I was undergrad. So I'll make this as brief as possible because I could, talk for a while on this subject. But my journey to my MBA program really began, and moreover at Duke, was really an unconventional path. So I started out as a pre-med major, an NIH scholar, undergrad biomedical research, and life happened, and I was not able to pursue a medical or biomedical science career after college. Landed in real estate, owned my own company. After a while, sold it to the credit union, and found myself in business. That was not the intended goal. So as a result, having a very lucrative career, I then decided that I wanted to find my way back to my medical roots and started looking at how I would pursue my professional degree. And an MBA was the perfect choice. And moreover, at Duke, because of the concentration for the health sector management, it made it a perfect, it was a perfect storm for me. And so coming to Duke, being able to bridge both my experience and my academic background in the health sciences was a calling. So that's how I landed in business school and moreover at Duke. And it's been, I think, the most pivotal decision of this last decade for me.
Wonderful. And then, and specifically, what do you do over at Blue Cross Blue Shield? What's your
So
role?
I was recently the senior compliance advisor for their provider network and was recently promoted this year as senior strategic advisor over their provider network. So I'm celebrating a promotion, and in part, I feel some of that is due to my tenure here at Duke. So let's go Duke.
Yes, yes, congratulations.
Thank
Yes,
you.
had to make sure you gave yourself that plug. So let's talk a little bit about, you all came to this experience, from different perspectives. In what ways has your cultural background contributed to the diversity within the business school community? And how does it positively influence how you approach either, business, your leadership style, the work that you do either within your program or, Shireen, within your day-to-day kind of how is the cultural or your own identity? And I know that we all have different multiple identities. We're not all monolithic, but kind of talk a little bit about that. Who wants to start? How does it approach how you show up?
Yeah, I'd be happy to touch on this. I feel like this is a very important question for me. So I'm Nigerian American, born in America. Both my parents are immigrants from Nigeria. And I think my culture has been very core to just my identity, how I was raised. And I think existing in this space where I'm not really one or the other, but I'm both, has given me a lot of perspective on the challenges that both communities face, but more importantly, the similarities that we share. And I think we learn a lot and grow from just simply sharing our cultural experiences and expanding our perspectives. And I think as future leaders in this world, Black leaders in particular, it's really crucial for us to be able to understand and relate to different perspectives, but also learn and know when to listen and when we can't relate. And I think there's aspects of each culture that I can relate to, and aspects where even though this is my culture, there are aspects that I need to do more listening in. And I think it's very important to just have that perspective as we all are aspiring to be in roles that we do impact a lot of different people. It's important for us to be able to understand where we may not know everything and we may need to listen more. And so, yeah, I think my cultural upbringing has really equipped me to be a little bit more dynamic in just how I approach just listening and understanding others' perspectives.
Love that. I love that. Um, how would you guys say Fuqua celebrates or promotes the awareness of different cultures? And are there any specific initiatives or events that you have found particularly meaningful or impactful?
I'd love to jump in here.
Yeah, please do.
So during our first year, over just this past holiday, Sherry, we have such a diverse cohort from many ethnic backgrounds. And I think one of the most profound experiences I would like to highlight is the celebration we had for Diwali over the holiday season, and just the introduction to those cultures and how we galvanize around highlighting all backgrounds and participating, I think, at a high level of engagement. We don't work in silos. We really embrace, I think, a lot of the cultures that are represented here, and we support one another. So whether we're supporting programs through our clubs through let's say Africa or India, or just any type of Black and Hispanic programs that we have at Fuqua, we are all supportive culturally, and I really find that that is one of the strengths that we have within our program, and it's I think one of the unique components of Fuqua.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I was just going to say something similar, just because, I grew up in the South, and most of the institutions I've gone to have been predominantly white. And then specifically with my undergrad, I felt that my experience is a little bit more insulated in the Black community. And being at Fuqua has been the first time where I've felt comfortable enough to not to really participate in other cultures and really like celebrate and embrace them and learn more about them. And I think we're just in such a special time where all of us are really like gathering in this place and are trying to make this experience the best that we can in the 2 years that we have. And part of that is learning to appreciate one another and actually learn what makes us who we are. And so when it comes to me, just being a Black American in the program, it's made me a lot more comfortable being who I am. And I'm surrounded by people who I feel like truly do respect my identity and want to learn more. Something that Fuqua does a number of things in this space, but this week right now is Global Week, which is an initiative that's put on by the MBA Association and their international team. And the entire week has been a celebration of the cultural diversity of the Fuqua community. And every single day has been a new opportunity for people to engage with different communities. Tonight, there's an event called The Taste of the World. And as a foodie, I'm really excited about it, but it's something where every diversity group is hosting small dinners in their homes and having people over to cook some sort of traditional meal for people to join and just enjoy in. And so that's just one, small experience of the Fuqua experience that we get to do. But again, there's always many opportunities to do that at Fuqua.
I agree. And I just attended yesterday, there was a wonderful panel that was spearheaded by our VP of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, who's a student with Gabby, it's a student position. And the panel was focused on global entrepreneurship, which was really interesting to hear about, all these, all students from different countries, all entrepreneurs, and how they kind of navigate that journey as well. So again, I agree with you, Michaela. Um, it's a wonderful benefit to be able to learn from so many different cultures. But they called it Courageous Conversations, which is an initiative. Can you talk a little bit about, from an academic perspective, can you share more about kind of your upbringing and how that has inspired you in your academic experience? Or Dara, you talked about kind of being from, having two different experiences culturally. How does that show up from an academic perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, even beyond just academic, also professionally, growing up, I always had a I always connected work with impact. Just the way that my parents, I saw how they interacted with their communities back home. Also, I come from a family that everyone other than myself is actually pursuing, the medical field. So it was always work and impact were kind of wedded. So I think for me, as I pursue my MBA, as I pursue my career, I think those are two non-negotiables for me that no matter what I do, I need to feel as if I'm positively impacting my community, I'm positively impacting the world, and just makes me a lot more reflective on just the work that I'm doing and who does it impact and how does that reflect on the type of, I guess, legacy that I want to leave on the world.
I like that. Um, I'm curious, kind of staying on this theme of academics, do you all have favorite classes, favorite professors that the audience might be interested in knowing about? Ariana, you want to talk a little bit about your academic experience? Any favorites?
Yeah, I would say one of the most challenging but the most rewarding was probably one of the first classes I took here at Fuqua in the summer. It was a communications class, and one thing that I struggle with a lot is public speaking. And so during that class, we had to, I think like the first day of class, we had to give like a 2-minute speech just like out of the blue. So that was really out of my comfort zone. But I guess just like seeing my progress throughout that class and like ending it with like a 5-minute like presentation of just like telling a story, like any story about yourself. I just really saw the growth in me through that. So I think that was one of my most favorite classes so far.
I love that.
I think
Anyone?
in the Weekend Executive Program, they're all my favorite. I have absolutely learned and grown exponentially, but if I had to highlight one, it would definitely be leadership and management with Professor Daisy Lovelace. She was phenomenal. And the accolades just spanned far and wide. She really touched home because that was an area that I felt was one of my strengths, but she stretched me in ways I could never imagine. Especially one highlight I would call out was the simulation we did through crisis management. And she really went the distance simulating a real life crisis management exercise that I think you just you can't put a price on that type of experience. And the learning was just so in depth. I absolutely love that moment.
Oh, I love that. And you have the benefit of what you learn one day, you actually can apply the next, right? So
Exactly. And the funny thing and unique thing about that is we had actually experienced that malware incident where we were in crisis mode. And so going into those experiences and placing yourself in those real world environments and having the opportunity to then go to work the next day and execute on those strategies has just made a world of difference. So again, leadership management, Daisy Lovelace, I have to give the plug, was phenomenal.
so let's keep on the theme of leadership. What kinds of leaders do you hope or aspire to be coming out of this experience?
I can start because at Fuqua, I've been really intentional about stepping up and taking on a number of, some would say too many student leadership positions. So one that's been, the most rewarding to me right now is being a part of the Duke MBA Association, where I'm the vice president of student life. And what's been really exciting about that specific position is how much it's shown me about the type of leader I'll be in the future, and the type of manager I might be to people in the future. So coming into Fuqua, I had more experience leading cross-functional teams and working across different functions and having to lead a certain project, but not really having any real influence and not really having to deal with any accountability of other people working on the team. So this is the first time I've been in a situation where people are looking to me for direction, and I'm the person who has to be responsible to give that. I also am more accountable for outcomes, and I'm the person who ultimately has to be responsible if something does or does not happen. And so that's just taught me a lot of things about myself and who I am and who I want to be in the future. I think for me, just being a leader, I want to always just be a human leader. And so I always want to set a tone on my team and have people who work with me who feel like I understand them as people and who understand that I want the best for them, and I'm always just going to look out for their best interest. And so I think what that'll also always mean for me in the future is that I set a tone where everyone is able to bring their full selves to work, but also that they know they have an empathetic leader who wants them to be at their best at all times and understand that life happens. And so that's something that I've learned over the course of the last year specifically that has been really special. That's something I'll take with me after Fuqua.
I like that. And it plays very well with this topic of next generation. I'm curious, for those of you who look at your parents and see the kinds of either environments in which they've worked in, or if they themselves are managers and leading teams, what different type of leader do you want to be?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. I think for me, so I went to a Jesuit high school, and there was a phrase that we always use called servant leadership. And
Mm.
that really stands out to me. I think it's really important for me when I think about the type of leader that I want to be. Um, it's not as important like the title that I have, but more so how can I in every single day, in every single interaction, how can I facilitate a culture where, similar to what Michaela is saying, like people feel comfortable, but also how can I exemplify that I'm not just someone at the top telling you what to do, but I can get in the weeds with you. I can really do the work myself. And I think it's very important to be able to see the people that you lead, like what is their actual day-to-day like? What are the things that they're actually struggling with? And my mother, she is a business owner. So I've got to see, her process of just, leading in that way. But I guess the way that I want to be a little bit different is it's very important for me again to really be a little bit more on the ground with the type of things that I do, and really being able to understand the people that I'm leading and the challenges that they're facing.
Mhm. Yeah. Anybody else? What about you, Ariana?
Yeah, I guess I've really learned from my grandma, who's also a business owner, and just how she leads, and I guess that kind of influences me a little bit. Like what everyone has said, just being personable with everyone and just making sure they feel comfortable, and also just making an impact on people and leading by example, is what I try to do as well.
Do you feel like you do that already as a team member on the volleyball team?
Yes, yes, definitely. I have been like leadership has been really influenced by that as well. Just always being in a team. And then also one thing that I've really learned is time management as well. Just making sure that that everyone stays on task and that yeah, just everyone is good. So yeah.
Exactly. Um, well, let's talk a little bit about your experiences in the program. Um, First of all, how do you guys like Durham? Because there's folks from all over the world on this call, on this watching us, and not everyone's been to Durham, North Carolina, and we would love for them to visit. So, what would you say about Durham? What are some of your favorite aspects of living here?
I always say Durham is the perfect backdrop for your MBA experience. Most everyone who's in our program has moved to Durham to be in the program. There are some people who are from the Triangle area and maybe have family in, Raleigh or somewhere else. But generally speaking, most of your classmates, came here for Durham. And with it being this mid-sized city, it's big enough for you to like be able to branch out and see a lot of aspects of the city, but it's not, so large that you get lost in it. And so, what I really love about Durham is that there are just like small pockets of activities for you to get into. And so, I live in downtown Durham, and there's a main street that is literally in walking distance of me, where that has some of the best restaurants that I've been to in my life. And so, again, as a foodie, I'm someone who's really excited to try new restaurants, and I've been able to live out those foodie dreams in Durham. And so, that's one thing that I find really, really special about living here is being able to engage in the food scene.
Mhm. And we get a question often, sometimes in admissions, in terms, especially from um, um, you know, students of color that I speak to, about how do students in our program connect with the broader Durham community, right? It's very important for them to have an impact on the community in a positive way. What are the various ways in which I can, as a student, engage with the community outside of the walls of Duke University? Anyone want to take a stab at that in terms of how they have connected and the impact that we can have?
So I'll start that conversation. One of the things I introduced, being local to the area for our Weekend Executive program, was during our Christmas social. As a former board member to the Ronald McDonald House of Durham and Wake County, now of the Triangle, they're literally in our backyard at Duke. And so I currently still serve on the board, serve on the governance committee. I thought it would be a great way to bridge a partnership between Duke Fuqua and Ronald McDonald House Charity, and highlight some of the good we're doing in the community to support our Duke University hospitals and UNC hospitals. And we were able to support the house collectively. From that experience, learned that there were several people in our cohort that had very personalized experience with the Ronald McDonald House, myself included. And so it was a really wonderful way to engage within the community and build that partnership, and fuse both brands. And we are looking to continue that relationship by providing support through the business school and advancing some of the Ronald McDonald House initiatives through other channels, such as partnerships with local businesses that can also support the house. So we are definitely looking to highlight our focus with community involvement and engagement. And that was, I think, the beginning of that initiative.
Oh, I love that, Shireen. And people don't know, but you play a very formal role as well, representing your class, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about your role?
Yes, I do. So I am one of 4 class representatives for the Weekend Executive program, and that experience as well has been life-changing. We have a very large cohort of north of 180, I think, and it's a experience that I had an affinity. Well, it was a role that I had an affinity for because I do a lot of leadership within my community. I have a lot of background in leadership roles. And so I'm a very people-oriented person, and I'm always looking for opportunities and ways that I can bring people together and solve problems. So I really enjoyed representing the WIMBA 26 cohort, and looking forward to doing a lot more with our daytime programs, our global exec programs, and bringing all of us together so that we can have an even bigger impact within our local community.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I'm curious, how have others built your own kind of personal communities as you're embarking on this journey? What do you do to make sure that you are in safe spaces and have a crew of folks who lift you up in those moments that you needed, tell you the truth in those moments that you needed? Like, where do you seek refuge? Where do you seek community in your respective programs, and how? And to what extent has Fuqua helped to facilitate some of that?
Yeah, I'm blessed to say that I feel like it really did come pretty natural. I feel like at Fuqua, I think there is just a general sense of community I know everyone here has heard a billion times about Team Fuqua, and anyone who's interested in Fuqua probably will hear about that a lot. But I was very, very pleasantly, I won't say surprised, but it was a very, I guess, pleasant experience to realize that that is very real. Once I got at Fuqua, I realized that it's very easy to connect with people in my section over just our different interests, as well as just people in the community. I also had the privilege of doing MLT, which I know is a partner to Duke and Fuqua. So I had a cohort of individuals who, throughout the summer, went through the MBA application process. So once I got on campus, it was kind of like a big family reunion, seeing everybody. And those connections are still very strong to this day.
Mhm. Anyone else want to chime in?
I'll just add on just with the MLT community because I was also a part of that program. And so I think that was also a really safe space coming into the program of people who you already know. But something that's also just been great is, when you start off here in the daytime program as a first year, you're assigned into a section. And so I was the social chair of my section. And so I was able to be the person who was, throwing, holiday parties and Friendsgivings and Super Bowl parties and things like that for us to connect. But really it was a way for me also to start to build community. I think it's important for me to have a Black community that I feel supported by throughout the business school experience, but I also wanted to make sure that I was diversifying my community here at Fuqua as well. And so I think what's been great is realizing that I have just as much community inside the Black community as I have outside of it. And that Fuqua has just provided this experience where I am able to really create strong connections with people from a number of different cultures. And so I think a way that I was able to lean into that a lot was through the section experience and just really leaning into student life and just the social community here at Fuqua.
Does anyone have a Team Fuqua moment? Because you had mentioned like people hear about Team Fuqua. I mean, any specifics? Let's get specific because we get that question. Can you give us a specific example of what does it look like?
Certainly. I have a pretty profound one, I would say. I wouldn't say one moment, but I would say just a period of my life. So when I first moved here, I actually, where I'm currently living, was still being built. So I was literally homeless. And I reached out to one of my classmates. They actually let me live with them for 2 months, free of charge. And even beyond that, a lot of my classmates were aware of the situation. And I honestly had to tell people sometimes, oh, I don't need a ride because everyone was always constantly asking if they could. I also didn't have a car at the time. So they're always constantly asking if they could give me rides. And I just felt like people were just very aware of my situation and were just pouring into me in ways that I really didn't expect. So that was a huge moment for me and just made me realize, like, yeah, I chose the right place.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And to build on that, Odera, I also have had the pleasure of embracing the Team Fuqua spirit. Most recently, I became my dad's caregiver. And it's been a journey going through grad school. However, I've had enormous support of the cohort. And to the extent that one of my classmates said, Shireen, what do you need? And I told her what I needed. The next day, she said, my husband and I are on the way. You just sit down. We're going to set everything up. And I mean, she really came through with just furniture, all types of things, just to set things in motion, to help make that transition a lot smoother because it came out of nowhere. And so even still through this journey, I've had several members of the cohort reach out and let me know, whatever you need, we're here. We're going to support you. You're going to DC for your health policy class. Let us know where we need to stand in the balance. And that type of network, it's priceless. You cannot curate, I think, a richer experience than the one that is developed so organically through the individuals and the people that Fuqua selects for their program. I am immensely blessed to be a part of this unique family, and Team Fuqua has really wrapped its arm around me, and I look to extend the same to all of my cohort, and of which I've done. There's been times we've had some members who needed to stay behind for a interview. and wanted to room at my house. I said, absolutely, the doors are open. I remember another student who ran into an alum, and she needed a place to stay for an opportunity here at Fuqua. And they literally were leaving and said, you can have the keys and stay at our place for 2 months. It's the home. Yes, those are experiences that come with this program and with the group of people. So as they say, membership has its benefits. I could not agree more.
Oh my goodness. We have to write all those down. Those are great examples. It's really hard to put it in perspective for people, and so these stories really mean a lot. And so thank you for sharing them.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask some specific questions just so that the audience kind of gets a sense for what's it like in the program for each of you. So Ariana, can you maybe kick us off and share a little bit about what's it like to be in the MMS program? What's your day like? Just give folks a sense of what's your day like.
Yeah.
Typical day.
So for the MMS program, we usually take 3 classes. This term, we're actually doing a consulting program where we work with a real company. I'm working with Riaz Capital, which invests in real estate. And so that's been really cool to learn about because I'm not really familiar with that space. So I've been learning a lot. We actually had a presentation to the CEO, so we got to chat with him. And yeah, it was just a very cool, unique experience. So I'm very grateful for that. Besides that, I'm taking a accounting class, and also a market research class. So those two have been very insightful. Yeah, and will also help me for the future. So
Mhm. And you said that you were interested in doing what in the future?
finance, sales and
Finance.
trading.
Sales and trading. Okay, perfect. And then, for those prospective students that are out there, were there any helpful resources that you took advantage of as when you were going through the application process that they should really hone in on? You would
Yeah.
recommend?
Yeah, definitely talk to the student ambassadors. I feel like I got to talk to a few of them and just got to like hear about their day-to-day life, ask them specific questions about like the classes and just the program overall. And so they were really helpful and really understanding. And they also host campus visits too, so you can meet and connect with them as well.
Okay, perfect. Dara, can you talk a little bit about a typical day for you as an MBA student?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's definitely a lot of variability in the day-to-day, especially depends on what semester you're currently in because we take a lot of our core classes in the fall. So right now, I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship and venture capital. So I've had the privilege of being able to take a lot of courses that are really geared towards that. So I'm taking New Ventures Discover, which is essentially a class where we're working on a startup. Um, the professor is Shep Moyle, who is phenomenal. One of the most impressive people I've met, honestly. Then I'm also doing a mentored study. So this was actually one of the things that really drew me to Fuqua as well. So it's a opportunity to work with a company or an individual in a area of interest. So I'm currently working with Carry Venture Capital, helping them do due diligence and things of that nature. I'm also a case scholar, so I'm doing the Case I3 program. So we're working with an impact investing firm right now, helping them kind of map out how they want to build their rubric for rating different impact funds. So this has been a very experiential, I guess, semester for me. A lot of my classes are either virtual or I'll actually go to the office for my mentored study and spend some time with my mentor and really kind of see what life is really like for a VC. So yeah, I think a big part of the experience is being agile, being able to adapt, and also, of course, a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. So I am a DJ as well. So I also often try to, get a couple gigs or just sometimes just my friends' birthdays, things of that nature. I know you actually attended the Hillman Hall
Yeah.
event yesterday, which I had the privilege of DJing. So yeah, just always trying to find different ways to stay busy.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thank you.
And you have a whole nother year. So what do you hope to accomplish when you come back after your summer?
Yeah, so I really want to delve deeper into the entrepreneurship and the startup space. So I'm a HSM fellow, so I've gone through the HSM seminar, the boot camp in the summer, and I had the opportunity of meeting, I guess, my co-founder now. So I'm actually in the very early stages of working on a startup. So really want to focus a lot more on that my second year and further develop it. So.
Excellent, excellent. What about you, Michaela? You are rounding out your experience. I bet the 2 years has gone by really quickly, huh? So,
Yeah,
so what's
literally in
your
a
day?
flash.
What's the
It,
difference between a day in the life of a second year MBA versus a first year?
yeah, it's very different. The class load is lighter over here, which I really appreciate. So I'm actually only in one class right now, which is a feeling I hope everyone gets to experience. So the one class I am in is financial statement analysis, and it's actually unexpectedly one of my favorite classes at Fuqua. That I've taken so far, and it's just an accounting course in nature, but it's a course about taking the three different financial statements and really being able to learn how to like dissect them and break them down past what they're actually telling you in order to like really become knowledgeable about a company's operations. And so we go through a number of different case studies of different companies, and it's been really interesting being able to take that knowledge a little bit further that I have in business school, and hopefully be something I can take with my career in brand management. Outside of class, I mentioned I'm involved in a number of different things on campus, and so as the VP of Student Life, I do a number of different social events here at school. So this upcoming Friday is going to be a Fuqua Friday that is going to be for our Global Week. And so it'll be a nice celebration of the different cultures at Fuqua. There will be a number of dances done by different student groups here, which is going to be really fun to watch. We're going to have a number of different international vendors from around Durham come in and cater the food. And it's just going to be a really great opportunity for everyone to, again, just like engage with and celebrate the various cultures here at Fuqua. Something I'm also really excited about is that this Saturday is our annual winter formal in the program, which is also something I've been working really hard on all year. And so I'm really excited for everyone to get all dressed up and fancy and to come and just, have a lot of fun Saturday night at a local hotel. So that's something that I'm pretty involved in at school. But I'm also in the Black Business Students Association, and so we do a number of different prospective student things. So I might be joining an Ask Me Anything session or helping other students kind of navigate the application process. I'm also involved in the Fuqua Client Consulting Practicum, and so I help mentor a team of first years students who are learning the consulting casing method right now. And then lastly, I'm an admissions fellow. And so right now we're really, really deep into round 2 interviews, and I've really enjoyed getting to know a number of the different applicants to Fuqua and really excited to see the next class.
Yeah, you are busy, Michaela. And
Yeah.
so you're in a good position, though. What advice would you say would you have for prospective students who are in this process now? What do you wish someone had told you, and now that you're in a position to really see and influence who's coming in the next generation?
Yeah. The reason I chose Fuqua was because of the culture and because of the people who I could see myself becoming, friends with and having relationships with while I was here. And I think something that I wish someone would have told me, I'm glad I figured it out, but I wish someone would have maybe said this more pointedly in my process was as you're evaluating school, just like make sure you're kind of following the feeling. And so I think, while I was interacting with other programs and everything, what was really important to me was just thinking about like how I imagined myself at the school, but also with the people I met, how those people made me feel and how those interactions made me feel. And thankfully, I was able to follow that with Fuqua. But I think in my time here as well, that's been something that I've been really focused on, and I've just been really relentlessly prioritizing experiences that I think will create great memories in the future, but also will help me just build relationships. And so, I would definitely say to anyone who's watching this, who's in that position, and thinking about whether it's Fuqua or any other school, just make sure it's a place you can see yourself. The alumni network that you have is a lot of the times going to be the people who are in class sitting next to you, and so make sure you're cultivating those relationships and that you're really pouring into others and letting others pour into you as well.
Yeah. Did you say follow the feelings? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
That's a new term I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Follow your feelings. I love that. All righty. And Shireen, can you share what is a residency like?
Busy.
Well, like the structure of it for folks who
Yeah,
don't really
no,
understand.
no, just it'll work busy. I was just sharing with one of the cohort today. I said they really find ways to maximize the time we have together. A typical residency has us arriving in Durham on Thursday, and we are in preparation for class all day Friday, Saturday, and part day Sunday. And generally, what happens is we arrive on Thursday at various times, and that's usually our time to just reconnect with everyone as we're flying in from all parts of the country. Some fly all across the world, and I had a teammate that was flying in from Germany often. So that's generally our wind down time, our time to reconnect. And so on Friday, we're in classes all day. And it's a heavy course load, but it is worth it. We enjoy all of the curriculum, all of our time spent together, and we always have events in the evening. So while we're in class all day, we work hard, but we play just as hard. So you can find us at any number of social events, whether it's the Duke Carolina game, a watch party. We are constantly engaging within the Durham community and events on campus. So we have a great time, and we are always looking forward to residency.
Oh, that's great. We talked about this a little earlier, but I'd love to hear an example of something that you've learned that you then were able to kind of really apply that very next day and how it was really impactful from a professional perspective.
Yeah, so I think that one of the I'll go back to the initial example I gave of the crisis management situation and leadership that I took with Daisy. Our systems had gone down, and Optum was experiencing the a lot of technical issues where I was also, as a enterprise business continuity coordinator for Blue Cross, I also had to manage that situation. What would we do? And the what would we do was happening. So we were in the middle of crisis. Our systems were down for quite some time, impacting a lot of different business units. And I had to engage a lot of leadership at my organization to put some strategy in place on how we were going to execute around our systems. And so that tangible experience that we had in simulation really played itself out real world. And I couldn't have asked for, unfortunately, a better setup for that opportunity that I not only had in class, but also at work. And that could have very well leveraged me for the opportunity that I have now as a senior strategic advisor. So I don't take light the opportunities that are given to us through the program, because they really have real world implications that we're able to actualize immediately beyond the classroom the very next day.
Yeah. Did you tell Daisy? You say, hey?
Of course I did. Yes, absolutely.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Are there, what's the more challenging part of managing, balancing the professional, your family? You just mentioned you have responsibilities, and then the class dynamic, not just the classes, but the social too. How do you try and keep it all together?
Yeah, I think the operative word there is try.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and I didn't use balance because I don't think that's a thing. So yeah.
Absolutely not a thing. However, I am very intentional about how I invest my time. Because to your point, balancing a very rigorous course load, I currently have 5. If we're including the HSM curriculum, it can be very challenging. It's a very rigorous schedule, and trying to balance that with family obligations and work responsibilities can sometimes be difficult to navigate. But I like the play on word navigate, because you're definitely, in uncharted territories, you're in uncharted waters, and you're really trying to, just drive the ship, and you're building it as you go, and finding, I think, ways to execute on different strategic initiatives with what I learn in class helps me bridge what I'm doing in my personal space by attaining my MBA, and also building and growing on my job. So what I do is bring both worlds together. And that helps me, I think, maximize on the efficiency of any given day. I'm always looking for the opportunity to invite into my workspace what I'm doing in my academic space so that I'm able to be duplicative in my efforts and maximize on my potential, because we all get the same 24 hours in any given day, right? So I find that in a weekend executive program, you're always looking for ways that you can, you know, bridge both worlds together, and that's the way I approach it. How effective I will be, more to come. But
Well, it sounds like you've been effective so far. You got a promotion.
yeah, I did. I got a promotion, and I'm able to engage with the executive program in all the meaningful and measurable ways that matter. So I feel as though I'm doing a decent job, but and I'm excited for the journey. It's one that really bears its weight in gold. And Sherry, it's just been, like I said, one of the greatest decisions of the decade for me.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I really like that you've engaged, in terms of your relationships, how you've contributed back, you're involved in so many things. And you don't always think of that when you think about the working, our working professional programs, that there's time to do that. So it's really great to see that you've actually been able to really engage in ways that are about, the community as well, right?
For sure. And we have to mention Fuqua Friday.
Yes. So we tend to leave a little bit of time for questions from the audience, and they've provided those questions in advance, and we've selected a few. And so I thought we'd end by asking you to just, share some thoughts around some of these. So the first one is, how are you harnessing technology or digital platforms to amplify Black voices? Does anyone feel like
Yeah,
that? Go ahead.
I'd be happy to answer that. So yeah, I think right now AI, obviously that's a huge buzzword, is an incredible opportunity. I think now more than ever, we have so much access to developing, whether it's our personal brand or our different business ideas, whatever it might be. I think that and the class that I mentioned before, New Ventures Discover, we actually talk a lot about the different ways that we can leverage some of these technologies to make our work a lot more efficient, so that we can kind of offload some of those more menial tasks and really focus on more of the creative aspects of our ideas in our business. But more specifically, to like that question, uplifting Black voices and people of color. I think it's important now more than ever. Social media, things of that nature are so influential on just how we perceive the world. I think it's very important to be able to leverage these tools to get our perspectives out there and let people know, even through things like this, let people know just what our experiences are, and just give, I guess, the future generation of leaders that knowledge and those insights.
Mhm. I totally agree. Um, what about, this is another question that came in. What do you wish more people understood about the unique leadership experiences of Black executives in corporate spaces? Is there anything that you feel is a not fully understood?
I also have an answer for this one. And I think this is just from my experience previously working in finance. Obviously, you don't see a lot of Black leaders in that space. And just the importance of having a champion for your career or someone who sees themselves in you. Like I often saw early on, there may be managing directors who, oh, I went to the same high school as this person, or they just remind me of myself as a younger person. And because of that, they're going to invest more time into you and into your career. So I think that's a point that's often missed when people talk about the importance of diversity in the workspace. It's not just, of course, it is diversity of perspective and having different thoughts and different viewpoints, but it's also the importance of having someone that you can see yourself in, and someone that sees themselves in you, that will pour into you and help you kind of climb that ladder and relate to you. Because I think it's human nature that we kind of gravitate towards people that we can relate to.
Mhm. No, I totally agree. And people talk a lot about sponsors, and of course you can have a sponsor who looks, very different than you, but I do think it's important to seek out individuals who have your similar lived experience. And sometimes that's about the affinity or the racial ethnicity kind of from that perspective as well. Um, uh, and then the last thing, this is a little bit of a kind of add-on to that. So based on what you just talked about, Odera, what can those of us who want to be allies in this effort, what can we do?
Yeah, I think that's a little a little tougher. But I think allyship can take many different forms. But I think the biggest thing for me is don't shy away from these type of topics. I think it's just important that we actually discuss these things. I often found myself in the workplace. We all feel these kind of underlying dynamics, but oftentimes they're just not addressed or not talked about. And just because it's not being talked about doesn't mean it's not impacting people. So I think just bringing these topics to the forefront, not shying away. Yes, they're uncomfortable sometimes, but really kind of leaning into that discomfort can do a lot to make those who are experiencing it feel more comfortable sharing their experiences.
And I'll just add very briefly that one of the things we did at my organization was we hosted diversity circles where we created safe space for individuals to talk about, to your point, how do you lean into diversity and in advancing inclusiveness, and having those tough conversations in a very respectful but open and transparent way. And I found that as leading some of those circles and conversations, it was very helpful because it allowed you to architect, I think, a conversation around how we can lean into better understanding one another through our differences and realizing that there are more commonalities than differences at the end of the day.
That's right.
Also, just to add, from my personal experience from my internships, just being on the trading floor, I was most of the time the only Black person, let alone Black woman. And so, just having like a mentor, who's in the same space as you or just like the same career field as you, can really help you, just like Odera said, just like navigate through that. And also, I guess just creating that conversation and just having more panels like these or just expanding your network as well is really helpful.
Yeah, no, it's helpful to know that we are not alone, right? These are very common experiences, both positive and challenging. But when you talk about it in the collective and see best practices that other people have been able to employ, it makes it less lonely, less daunting, right? And so I totally agree, Ariana. This has been a wonderful panel. We are 2 minutes over, so we have filled the time with lots to talk about. I really appreciate all of your perspectives and your vulnerability and your openness in sharing with us today. I hope all of you out there who are joining us have really enjoyed as well and learned a lot from this particular episode. Please continue to join us for our Blue Table Talks. The next one's coming up in March in honor of Women's History Month. And it's called She Leads, the Rise of Women in Business. And so we hope you'll join us back here on March the 19th for that. With that, I again want to just thank each and every one of you. I hope that you all have a safe, day. Enjoy the rest of the week. To all of you out there, be safe, be kind to each other, and thank you so much for joining us.